Good morning, Rosman Tiger fans. We're here at the Riverbend Lodge and Resort Restaurant. There you go. Sorry, Matt.
Party Center,
whatever you want to call it.
Emporium, whatever you want to call it.
We're here this morning for Tiger
Corey does it
Talk,
all.
and we have Coach Essenberg with us and Matt. I think Mike and Bill sleeping in for some reason. Their big contracts allow them to sleep in on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I think they're working.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but anyway.
Yeah, I think Bill's cooking.
Bill's cooking.
They're getting paid to be elsewhere. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill's cooking, I think.
Bill's cooking, yeah. Well, you want to get us started?
We'll start right up. We got Coach here. Don't want to hold him up and everything. Coach, what do you think about last night's game?
Well, when we looked at them on film, we were worried about their speed, and it showed. I mean, our chunk plays have hurt us all year, and we just don't have a lot of speed on the back end. And if we're not getting the perfect fit, and, usually it's a 2 or 3 yard gain or it's a 40-yard gain, and they hurt us. We made some mistakes as far as coverage goes, and our mix ups or whatever you want to call it. But all in all, when we played hard, from start to finish. Them boys know they were in a ball game, and the problem is when we hit those little alleys, the game started off and we stop them. I don't know if it's a fake punt or if it's a bad snap and then run with it. Either way, we should have been ready for it because we don't have a punt return.
Right.
We're just holding them up. We're playing defense. Just try to hold the guy up in front of you till it's kicked and see if we can get something out of it. So that was a big-time breakdown on us early in the game. We hit a slant. Great catch by Tyler. They called incomplete, which was absolutely a terrible, terrible call. A hold here or there. Had some calls early that really hurt us. Did the officials beat us? No. But,
No,
not at all. I just don't believe in that.
They made it an interesting game, though.
But they made it hard on us. I mean, they did. And the guy we had on our sideline was just I don't think he's ever seen a football game.
No, we were talking about that too.
I mean, when the side judge, I need a ball, and you hand him the football, and he throws it on the ground, and it gets all wet, and then he picks it up, and puts it in the game. I mean,
we were
he
talking
didn't mean to do it, but you don't put that ball in play.
We were talking last night. Both teams were playing hard. Hayesville was much improved from what they were last year. Our guys have improved vastly from the beginning of the season till now. And you need referees in there that are going to let the kids play. And it was just they kept disrupting the pace of the game too. There kept being there was do-overs, there was stops and conversations, and it was just I'm not saying that they changed the outcome of the game. I don't think they did, but they changed the flow of the game constantly, and it was annoying. The way they were calling, we were talking. They don't need to be on the field, but we were fussing
the way it ended. I mean, it's a few calls early because if we go down and get the catch, we go down and we score. Whether we can score a touchdown or just all we got to do to get points is get 25-ish with the ball. Right. I mean, we pick them up another 6-7 yards. Basically, get a field goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that one last night? Was it 29, 30 yards?
Yeah, but I mean, he's good. I mean, for the most part. Unless he gets overexcited getting his steps. If he gets his steps right, Mason, he's 42-yarder, 45-yarder as a stretch, but he's got a good leg. And so you got a pretty good idea you're going to get points out of it. Well, if you get points out of it, that changes a little bit of the schematics of the game. Well, because we had some stops, but you get a little bit of a adrenaline pump, and then you go out and get another stop. It was nasty. We had a couple good punt returns. It changes everything. But, it didn't happen. We still got to play hard. It still comes down to the chunk plays. They're killing us. Whether it's been more on the ground than it's been in the air now. Friday they hit us a little bit more with it in the air, which does concern you on a wet field like that because the ball's dry. It's not bad weather, right? But the field's a little bit sloppy, so you a little slip here, a little slip there.
They hit a couple of big passes over the top.
Oh, sure they did.
But they ended up through for Hayesville threw for 182 on the night, run for 120. They had 302 total yards against us, and right there at halftime they had that one was 70
Yeah,
60-something yards
61 yards
on that
I think.
one play. They had that one big one right there before halftime. Was it that much, or was it
I believe it was 60. I think,
something? It was
yeah.
a big one right there.
But
like
you know,
you
that
said,
was a
it's
good
just a
play.
big play.
The other one, we should have had a pick in the end zone.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Should have had a pick in the end zone. I mean, if we play your coverage like you've been coached to play it, where you're supposed to be, it's not you can't get there. You just got to do it like you're coached
Right.
to do it.
Right.
And you're right. All in all, defensively, we didn't do bad, but we had the big. It was the big ones.
The
The
big
big
chunk
ones would hit
plays.
us, and we ended up we had a slow first half. You know, we came out at halftime. We had 40 yards offense. We ended up finishing the game with 193, had 128 running, 65 passing. So we turned on a little bit in the second half. You know, what did y'all make some adjustments? In the
No.
second half? Did we just kind of pick it up?
We didn't make any adjustments. They knew they had to stay with their blocks longer. You got to stay with your block a little bit longer. Back's got to hit it in there, and you can't have a negative. You know, we don't have the ability to get the big chunk play.
Right.
You know, it's harder for us to do that. So you have to drive the football. Well, that's not an easy thing to do. You know, to take the ball and have a 80-yard drive where you're getting 4 and 5 yards pop. You know, 12,
Right.
13, 14 play drive. That's hard to do at any level. You know, so those chunk plays make it easier. We don't have the ability to get the chunk plays.
Right.
Now, we had some people open. We missed them. You know, we
Yeah.
had chances
Yeah.
for some chunk plays.
Yeah.
That's our execution. Had nothing to do with Hazel. Had a screen pass set up. We didn't complete the pass. We had some slants open, didn't hit them. I mean, those are some things that's our execution that we broke down on. And
Right.
it's not like you couldn't throw it because they weren't covered.
No, it wasn't
they
a
were
great
open.
defense.
We just
Yeah,
didn't find them.
Right.
You know, you got to find them and you got to hit them in the numbers.
We had a couple times too. We had some, from what we could see in the press box, looked like we'd have a back and make a wrong cut. He'd have the blocking would be to the outside, they'd cut inside. So we had some, there was more potential yards out there that
Oh,
we kind of
sure.
left on the field.
Right.
And it was just as you said, being not having as much football knowledge as teams you've had in the past, guys being a little inexperienced or not reading the holes, as quickly as they should.
Well, you don't have the feel.
Right.
You don't have the feel.
Yeah.
It's easier, and it's a lot of it's just a God-given thing. And if you don't have it, my thing is running backs. I've always said you just don't think, just run. You just run wide open, hit the hole wide open, and you'll do whatever's natural. When we're making cuts into people, we're thinking while we're running, and when you do that, you don't go anywhere.
Right.
And so
Right.
everybody else is closing on you. We've got to be able to stick our foot in the ground, make a decision, and go, and do it wide open. We make what should be a 1-foot cut into a 2 or 3 step cut.
And-
And that's the thing, and it's because we're thinking about where we want to run it instead of just hitting it in there.
One thing I noticed too, we were talking about during the game that Hayesville was much improved on defensively was swarm tackling. Last year we played Hayesville, when they would have a linebacker who would initiate contact with the running back, everybody else in their defense just kind of stopped. It was just a one-on-one tackle. And this year, when they would engage, here comes 10 more guys that's trying to come in from the tackle. They were trying to swarm tackle, and they weren't doing it last year. So, I mean, they were, it was a bit tougher, to get through them, and try to break a tackle.
Well,
and
that's
everything with
football.
them. They were-
That's what
and
you're supposed to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They were
Yeah.
they were better coached this year, and they were playing better, so it was harder to play, But they're an improved team. But we were talking, we've still seen, it's like every week we're still seeing improvements in the way we're playing and seeing some good positives, especially from some of our younger players on the team. Seem like they've been really standing out.
Well, we have improved. They've had a whole season of very physical football, and so, it'd be nice if this was like the start of the season.
Right.
You can start where we are now and build on it. But we started so down on how to play and how to do it,
Right.
and it's made it harder. And you throw in the fact that we're small and we're not strong and we're not fast, and so you throw all those things in. Now strides are being made to fix that. I mean,
Right.
Which it's not a 1 year or even a 2 year. I mean, we've had 40-some kids in the weight room.
I was going to say, talk a little
Friday
bit about
afternoon.
talk a little bit
Most
about the
of
weight
middle
program you
school.
built
Well,
up.
that's great because that's where it starts. You get them introduced to it, and then that becomes the norm.
You've
The
you've
norm
put
is you go to the weight room. You go to the weight room.
you've put a good weight program in with Coach Swearingen. Is he
Sure.
also running? What have y'all got exactly?
Well,
how
you
got
know,
set
he
up?
does present. I mean, you know, you got a million different ways to lift weights. The problem is just getting them in there. You know, they got to be in there to gain anything
Right.
from it. And they are making the effort. I mean, the players are coming. Because, so you know what that tells me is they're tired of it. It's time to get to work. And
That's good.
we're behind, way behind. I mean, everybody in the Smoky Mountain, about anybody in West North Carolina has a good program. They're living in the weight room.
Right.
And our kids haven't been living in the weight room.
Now, you
They
tell
haven't
me-
even opened the door.
We've got more middle schoolers than we're having high schoolers right now.
Oh, yeah, right now. And,
Which
and,
is, I mean, that's going to be good for the future.
you know,
though.
we've got some that aren't in advanced P. If they're in advanced P, it's taken care of. And they all need to be in advanced P. Even if you're an honors student, you can take advanced PE every semester. You know, and we have so many multiple sporters that they have to be in there. And see, our kids they're not taking the class, and so you know, my contention is you put them in it, and then usually they're going to take whatever the computer spits out they got to take.
Right.
So they just take the class, and they don't say anything about it. And then if you have a few that have a legitimate reason why they can't,
Right.
and you deal with those individually, but you've got to schedule them in there to start with, because, and I'm not just talking about football. I mean, this is basketball, this is baseball, this is wrestling. You know,
Volleyball,
the girls,
everything, yeah.
the girls are taking it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just what you do in an athletic program. Is, you know, my daughter, she took advanced P every semester, her whole time in high school.
Well, if you're going to play sports, you got to stay in shape.
You know, she was
You gotta
a
stay in
three-sport
shape.
athlete,
Yeah.
so you know that's just what you do. And if they're in there, then they're going to work. And it gets it just it's a repetition. You got to get them to the point where if they miss a day of lifting, it bothers them. They don't want to miss a day, and you know it takes a little work to get them there. But once they get there, then it's addicting, and that's where we need to get, and we're moving in that direction, and they'll reap benefits. You know, we'll reap benefits of it down the road.
Did we have any JVs moving up?
No, we didn't move any JVs up. They, you know, if the freshmen wanted to come up, I would have let them, but a lot of them play other sports, and they went on. They've already started, so, you know, you can't fault them for that.
Right.
To go on and go on to their winter sport. And, biggest thing is get them in the weight room.
Right.
And they have. I mean, they had 42 Friday afternoon.
So
they're
it's
averaging
picking up
30s.
steam, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been 30 some or better each day. They got it in the morning or the evening, plus who's in advanced PE. So, you know, got a lot of kids in there and a lot of kids working.
Looking forward to next week. What are you looking at for next week? The last.
You know,
regular
Andrews,
season game?
they're a lot like Swain. You know, they run the split back veer, but they also spread it too. We've seen them already on film. You know, we'll break them down tomorrow some more, but they're big up front. You know, they're bigger than Hazel up front. Hazel beat them. They played Robbinsville really tough last night. So
Yeah, actually,
you
I
know,
was
it's
surprised at how
28
close it
28
was.
to
Yeah.
7, so or 6, something like that. But you know, it's one of those games, kind of like Hazel. It is winnable. We have to cut down on the chunk plays. If they don't get the chunk plays, then we got a chance to be right there with them. The chunk plays is what kills us, and you know, we got a couple different ideas on what we're going to do defensively, and you know, we've had a good scheme each week. It just seems like you get one guy out of position a half a step, and there it
Yeah,
goes.
it's like last night we seemed like we had all in all we were keeping them contained.
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
we they're not as good up front as the other people we've seen, and so we were able to
They had
hold
that
our
one-
own a little bit better across the
They
front.
had that one big kid that's 70 up front, but the rest of them were more
Yeah.
human size.
Yeah.
We're talking about, so we were able to get But
So-
yeah, we were doing pretty good about containment. Even the quarterback was doing the scramble stuff. We were doing pretty good. But then, we'd get them to the 3rd and 12, and then they'd hit some kind of little, play
Yeah.
or something that
yeah,
would happen.
hit a
yeah.
breakdown,
Or,
pick up 13.
Questionable call.
Yeah, or a questionable
Yeah.
call or something.
Uh,
There was a few of those, but
One question for you, real quick. What about realignment next year? Have you heard anything? Is
No,
that gonna affect us?
I mean, I haven't heard anything. I'm not even sure. I think that they extended it. I know, so I don't think it might be this coming season that you start talking about the realignment. From what I understand, they moved it back a year.
they're not going to do it. Not going to do it between
Yeah,
this year
yeah.
and next year.
If not, I don't think you talk about it this winter. I think it's maybe next.
Is it extended?
Yeah.
I had
And,
heard
and I
something
can't
about-
see. I mean, Ron's probably going to stay in the Smoky Mountain Conference. I mean, it's just It's
There've
where
been some
you're at.
rumors going around about a split 1A, 2A conference. or
Well,
something, but I don't know
the
what
thing
they're-
that happens with that, okay, because a lot of people have talked about it, and I've talked to Jim Fox about it, I've talked to Marty Griffin about it, people that have been at Roswell before, and I've been there before. When you join another conference, other than the Smoky Mountain Conference, then you'll have a middle school football team, which would be 7th and 8th graders only.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a JV team that is 9th and 10th graders, and you'll have a varsity. Okay? Are there enough football players at Roslyn High School to have 3 football teams? I think it's a stretch. I mean, I look back my years before there where we probably had the most kids out in a 4-year span when I came to Roslyn for the first time. We had close to 40 every year.
Right.
High 30s
I
to
don't-
40 for the first 4 years.
I think if you had, I don't think you could do a JV squad. Personally, I don't think you could.
And
I don't
so
think
a
you
lot
could.
of conferences, in the Smoky,
This is the only conference that
it's
has
7, 8, 9.
7,
It's
8,
the only
9.
one. It's the
Yeah.
old junior high type system. And so, on one aspect of it, would you get more out if it was just 7th and 8th graders and have a middle school league? Maybe, but then you're throwing away. Now your
Would they
kids,
allow-
freshmen don't play.
Would they allow freshmen, sophomores to play up on varsity level?
Oh yeah, they can come to varsity, but how many freshmen
Right.
would play varsity football as a true freshman?
Right. True.
You know,
You got a
Then-
few standouts like
then
we
you
got Lottie this year that's
then
playing
you
and doing
got
a great job.
But then you end up having that. Well, where do you miss them? Well, they're not going to come out if it's 7, 8, 9, and 7th graders.
So you're going to lose them in that 1 year.
So
in
there's
between.
somewhere
Yeah.
there's problems anywhere you go. So who knows, down the road what will happen with that. But it's always something you have to think about. I know Coach Stack had talked to me about that, about realignment, because he was trying to get him into a middle school league and stuff. But it just makes it, it makes it a little bit more difficult to
Right.
do some of that.
Right. Yeah, we had talked about, I know we had talked about that, and there was discussion about middle school. I'd kind of like the idea of it, but that was always the sticking point was what do you do about the JV? And I know there was discussion about if you had just a freshman only JV squad.
Well, you can.
You can if you've got the numbers, but you're talking about there'd be some years you'd be fielding a 12-man team,
I mean, some years you won't have enough.
or you won't have
Right.
enough.
You'll be
even
folding your JVs.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But,
it just happens.
But I mean,
So,
that's and I mean,
that's-
because there's been, I mean, I think when I played, we had, I remember my senior year, I think we had, it was like 36, 38 players, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The next couple of years after that, when you had the years that Brett and then Brett was like a junior,
were
and a
pushing
senior,
40 every
y'all
year.
had like 40, 42, something like that. You had a lot of kids come out, they were playing good, and then we got to like in the mid 2000s, we got down to, I remember one year we had 18. We had by the end of the season we had 18. We started out with like 24, had a few dropped off and stuff. By the end of the season, we had 18 kids out there playing. And there's like 3 of them on the sideline with injuries. So
we
we
got
went
21 right now playing.
we went and played a game. I remember late in the season went and played Robbinsville over there, like maybe last game of the season, and we had 11 guys on the field. We had 2 guys in uniform on the sideline, and then we had 4 guys on crutches on the sideline. And it was just,
Makes it tough.
and one of
It does.
the 2 guys on the sideline, I think, might have been a freshman that was just standing there with his eyes about that big around, going, "Please, Lord, nobody get hurt." But we went out there, and I mean, they went out there and they played and done their best.
Yeah.
It's one thing these guys this year, we've talked about this over and over. It's not been pretty this year. We've had a lot of weeks that we've got, whipped and we're coming away with a loss. We've had, games we played tough, played hard. But we've been proud of the boys just for the simple fact that they've come back to practice every Monday. They've showed back up. They keep trying to work, and keep showing up. It's hard. I've been on the year before you came to Rossman. I've been on a losing squad, and I was a wuss and ended up walked away from it. I ended up was a idiot and quit because I got upset and mad because we were losing. It was one of the biggest regrets of my life. But these guys hadn't done it to me. These guys hadn't done it.
No,
They
they've
stuck
come to
with
work
it.
every day.
They've worked hard, and I respect them for it because, like I said, I didn't do that. I didn't do that because you had a big conversation.
Well,
when
we
came
talked to them at the
Rossman.
first of the year that it's a building year. We knew it was a building
Yeah.
year. So, if you're going to have a building year, you build every week, regardless of what happens on Friday night. I mean, a lot of our games, the thought of winning the game, you always have a chance, but in reality, you know it's going to be a real stretch. So what do? You work on getting better.
And they're doing. I mean, I got respect for them for going out and putting the work in, even when they know that it might not pay off on Friday. That they're looking that it might pay off. It's going to pay off further down the road, and they're starting something. So I got respect for them to go out there, and especially when you're having days like Wednesday when y'all are out there in a monsoon.
They had fun.
I imagine they did.
If it rains Friday, we'll be all right because our guys like playing in it. We practice in it; they don't mind playing in it.
I mean, because it was, oh my gosh, it was a mess Wednesday. But I always like the rain days, and he was always fun at practice when it's raining and muddy. First thing he does when you get there, on your face, roll over, get covered in water and mud, and now let's practice. Yeah. You're dirty, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach, I appreciate you joining us. We don't want to tie you up no more.
All righty.
And thanks for being with us this week. We'll try to. We can't do the broadcast next Friday night because Andrews has a match box for a press box. We are going to do our Facebook updates and stuff. And if you can join us next Saturday,
yep, we can do
everything too. We'll try to at least go over and talk about how things went. But
right.
we appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Joey.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I went over this a little bit, but we had. For yards and everything, Hayesville ended up had 120 rushing, 182 passing for 302 total yards. Roswell had 128 running, 65 passing for 193. And we had 40 in the first half. So we came out and had 153 yards in the second half. So we really kind of, straightened up. And as Coach said, he didn't make any changes. They just really kind of got their head on straight and played a little harder in the second half.
And like we talked last night up in the press box, after a few of those questionable penalties, it looked like we come out there really angry and started moving the ball, and the boys, they responded to those questionable calls very well, and they played hard all night long, and I know we come up on the short end of that, but I'm proud of them.
One thing I want to say, Hayesville was a better team last night. They're much improved from last year, and I don't think that the calls had any bearing on the final outcome of the game.
No, they didn't. But
that being said, though, that was one of the worst officiated games I think I've ever seen. It was just the calls were just atrocious. I mean, it was like there was a punt. If anybody didn't see the game last night, there was a punt in the second half. Tigers punted to Hayesville. We had 4 guys standing around the football watching the football roll down to a stop. The return guy for Hayesville had backed away from it, and all of a sudden I think a lineman come running in right to the middle of all the Tigers, kicks the football. I mean, obviously everybody in the they okay over there? Kicks the football. Right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, right in the middle of the field.
Kicks the football, and Tigers were, played smart. They jumped on top of the football. We had the ball at Hayesville's 45-yard line. And the referee walks over and picks up the football and spots it and marks it first down Hayesville. And, I mean, that's the most obvious. It's a live ball. They touched it. When they touched it, it's not dead. If we touch it, it's dead. They touch it, it becomes a live football. We covered it. And, I mean, that's something that's just, I mean, that's probably like day one at referee school. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
And that was just, and it was like, that was kind of representative of the whole night with what the referees were
like
doing.
Coach Essenberg said, if we get the ball there, we'd move it 10, 20 yards, whether we get a touchdown or not, there's a chance for points again. The schematics of the game could change.
Right.
And you don't know what's going to happen there. But to me last night, the flow of the ball game, there was no flow. It felt like we were watching –
we had,
I guess back in 2011 when Thomas Jefferson come in, there was like 250 pass plays that game. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. It was like the game didn't end until almost 11 o'clock that night. And that's what it felt like last night. There was no constant flow to the ball game. They just, every time something happened, flag come out, whether it was correct or not. And
we talked last night during the radio show that if you realize that the referees are there, then they're not doing their job right.
Right.
And I mean, it was just ridiculous, and it wasn't just against Roswell.
No,
they're doing stuff
it was Hayesville too.
Just some of the calls. I mean, there was missed holding calls. There was just some of the most ridiculous.
Spotting the ball
2 times. Oh yeah, they would spot the ball. They'd have the initial spot, and then the ball would get moved a yard or 2 either direction when they went from where they initially spotted it coming up to one of the hash marks. It might vary by a yard or 2 on the spot.
And I know
we had 2 times that they got together and huddled up, and they couldn't figure out what happened. So they just backed the ball up where it was at before and just had a complete do-over.
Do-over.
I mean, it's like, what? I mean, I just couldn't believe how.
And I know we noticed a couple times in the second half there where the ball would be spotted by the referees, but your down markers are either a yard ahead of the ball or a yard behind the ball.
Well, yeah, you'd have the
And that
line
was-
judge would
yeah.
spot the line judge would spot. We had one. It was on a first. We had a 1st and 10. We threw a pass. It was incomplete. The referee come back and spotted the ball. And where he spotted the ball, we basically had a 2nd and 9. Gave us a yard, on an incomplete pass. And he done the same thing for Hazel. Well, one time for Hazel, they had a 2nd and 11 because he spotted a yard back. And we're like, what? And it was inconsistent all night. And like I said, they were doing it both ways for both teams. Like I said, don't think that the referees really
had the idea.
They didn't do anything that affected the outcome
No,
of the game. But
no, they didn't.
Screwed up the flow of the game.
And they had the one targeting call. It was a 9.5-yard penalty, and nobody could
Right.
figure that out. So,
Right.
and again, they didn't affect the outcome of the game by no means.
But they just really ruined it. I mean,
They did, and they get paid. They should be able to do their job.
yeah.
I'll leave
I
it alone
was
at
really
that.
disappointed with the way they were, And one of them, the head official's been doing this for 30 years.
30 years.
No better than this. Well, let's go into some scores right quick.
All right.
And we had last night Smoky Mountain rebounded from their loss last week to Brevard, and they defeated East Henderson 42-0. Mountain Heritage had no problem whatsoever with Madison, beat them 64-0. Brevard had for a second week in a row, they had a pretty tough matchup, but they come out on top 20-14 over Hendersonville.
There was a 90. I seen the highlights last night. I think it was either 80 or 90-yard kickoff return starting the second half, and it
got
wasn't for
the
a
lead.
touchdown. Yeah, it wasn't for a touchdown. It got tackled about the 5-yard line. Then they scored, and then there was a couple field goals late. To get
I
them
missed
out
the
there.
highlights last night. Pisgah had no problem with Franklin 41-7. Franklin's just really been down this year. One that kind of surprised you, one of our pick 4 games was Mitchell and Polk. You had picked Polk, and Mitchell just wore them out 33-0 last night.
I just didn't. I thought Polk could honestly do better than what they did. And I know Mitchell's a good team, but you sometimes you take that home team thinking, well, they're going to play good at home.
Right.
And so I come up a bit short on that one. I admit it.
West Henderson dropped their second straight game. West Henderson had been undefeated on the season. They lost last week in a nail-biter, 24-21 to Tuscola. This week was a little bit different. A.C. Reynolds beat them 56-14. Irwin 44-7 over North Henderson. Murphy had no trouble at all with Cherokee 50-6. T.C. Robertson shut out Tuscola 31-0.
And
Another one that was – go ahead.
I was going to say, and T.C. Robertson, the first of the year we say, no, it's going to be a long year for them, but they have really
turned things around a
They
little
turned
bit.
it around starting about mid-season.
Robbinsville, this one surprised us, but especially after Robbinsville kind of wore out Swain last week. Robbinsville had a 28-7 game victory over Andrews last night. So Andrews playing a little better, or Robbinsville was a little flat last night. I don't know which, but
Yep.
yeah, because 2 games in 1 week. They played on Monday night, so sometimes you're a little flat on the second one. Talking about teams turning things around, Owen versus Avery. You made this comment last night. Owen started out the season playing horrible. They've not had the last couple 3 years? They've just not been Owen of old.
Yeah, they haven't
But,
been the Kenny Ford team.
You said last night after the Brevard game. After they played Brevard. Well, the Brevard game they played up a lot. And since then, Owen's been playing some pretty good ball. And last night, 54-32 over Avery. And Avery's been playing good all season.
It seemed like the second half of that Brevard game, Owen figured something out and
Made a game out of it.
made a game out of it. And then since then, they've been playing well.
Swain had basically a night off. They played Carolina Gladiators team, beat them 60-0. They were up 42-0, I think, in the first quarter. It was over early. One that I was actually looking at this matchup earlier in the week and was like, that's going to be a pretty good ball game. And it turned out it was. Is Asheville and North Buncombe. Asheville's down a lot this year. Asheville's got some fantastic athletes, but they're just not playing together as a team this year. And North Buncombe has been, vastly improved from what they've been past years. And that game was a dogfight all night and close game. Ended up Asheville did come out on top 41-38, but it was right down to the wire last night.
I think on the highlights I seen on that one, it was 38-34, and then there was a long pass at the end of the ball game.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, it
to
was
make that game turn out the way it was for Asheville.
Yeah, it was just like really close. I think it was like a 3-point game at halftime. It was back and forth the whole night, and just a really good game. There were some really good games last night. There's some good games coming up next week. Next week, we will not be able to do our live radio broadcast of the Andrews game due to they don't have facilities that we can use there for our radio broadcast. We'll still be doing our pick four. We'll post it on our Facebook, and we'll still be doing our Facebook updates. We're going to go, of course.
Yeah, we'll be there.
There's some games next week though that are fantastic. You're going to have
Murphy Robbinsville.
Robbinsville.
That'll decide the conference championship right there.
Brevard Pisgah.
That'll decide. I think
that'll probably decide the Mountain 6 next week.
From what they said on the news last night, if Pisgah wins, they're co-champion. So that'd be huge.
Right.
If Pisgah's able to pull that out.
You'll have another one. I'm pretty much leaning on who's going to win this one, but still it could be a good matchup. Mountain Heritage Polk. They're coming in. I think one of them's 8-2, one of them's 8-1. I believe on the season. It'll be a pretty good matchup. You got some other games that are going to be. I think it's Tuscola Irwin playing. They're not powerhouse record, but they're pretty similar this year. It's going to be some good matchups, some good games. So it's going to be some good good football next week. Always is the last week of the season. There's usually some good games. I think ours will be a good game. I think we're going to be. We were our last two games of the season, Hayesville and then Andrews, were more evenly matched with than we are with some of the other ones, and I think we're going to be okay as far as be a pretty good matchup. Should be a pretty good ball game, and we're looking forward to it. But
we got Corey over here. We'll bring him in, see what's been going on over here real quick, and we'll probably be ready to
that's what he's saying.
Yeah. We'll interrupt his breakfast. It looks real good over there, but we'll get him over here.
Wait for you to sit down.
We've been waiting on you to sit down.
I literally just opened that thing of jelly.
I see.
They're
like grape jelly.
First thing I ask you, how did your Halloween party go last night?
Man, we had a blast. We had we gave away some gift cards for costume contests. We had let's see.
See, I gave
we
up
had
that break. I didn't show up last night because I had the best costumes. So if I'd showed up, it'd have been.
Look, we had. It worked out. It worked out crazy because we had a single costume winner, and then we had a couples costume winner. And the people that came, like me and my wife, we were. I was an inmate and she was a cop, and stuff like that. Well, the ones that actually won the couples contest wasn't even couples, didn't come together. One was a cowboy and the other was an Indian, and they just said, "Hey, we'll enter the couples contest."
Nice. Well, they may end up a couple. You never know.
Hey.
I better be quiet. I better be careful with that. I better be careful with that one anyway.
Don't travel the path.
I will travel the path.
Don't take some bunny rabbits.
Y'all had Fine Line playing last night?
Yeah. They played from 8 to midnight, and man, they always put on a good show. That bunch right there, man, they're an awesome band. They play a variety of stuff. It's not just one thing or sticking to one genre or one group or anything. They jump all over the place, and they play good.
Y'all had a little bit of change up on your schedule, your hours of operation. What are you going now?
So as of right now, we're just Thursday to Sunday, Thursday dinner, Friday lunch and dinner, and then Saturday, Sunday breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
And usually we serve dinner until our regular menu until 9 o'clock, and then we go to like a late night modified.
It's like a bar menu.
Late menu. Yeah.
Okay.
But we last night we tried something different, and what we done was we done a modified menu where it wasn't just like fried foods and stuff like what we normally have. We added burgers and fries, tenders and fries, hot dog and fries, stuff like that, and then discounted them down. So I mean, shoot, you could have got hot dog and fries for $5, chicken tenders and fries for $6, and cheeseburger and fries. It was either $7 or $8. So pretty good deals.
That's pretty good.
And then we had other cool drink specials that we won't talk talk about on a high school sports.
Let's say.
You had some holiday inspired that. Yeah, I saw the list on the Facebook page.
Speaking of holidays, if anybody wants to schedule a Thanksgiving, are y'all going to be doing anything around Thanksgiving? I know the holidays with Christmas coming up, y'all. I think I asked you one time before, they can call now and schedule Christmas parties and things like that ahead of time.
Yeah, we're booking now for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners.
Mm-hmm.
So we can host the entire Thanksgiving dinner, or they can just rent out the space.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the way it works is that if they want to bring their own stuff and rent out the space, then that's fine. And we'll rent it to them, and we'll schedule it. But if they have us cater the meal, we don't charge them to come out and do a dinner. We just charge them for the food that they order. Because hey, as long as I'm filling the seats,
right,
I'm
exactly.
happy.
Now y'all done here in the last few weeks. You've done some reunions and stuff, I believe.
Yep,
and
yep.
Some class reunions. And
We
stuff
done
like that.
class of '79's reunion, and then we've done 2 birthdays, a going away party, an anniversary, and we had the volleyball team here last week.
Yeah.
That was so cool, man.
I saw the video of the coaches up doing karaoke and
Look,
stuff. That was,
I'm telling you, that was probably the coolest thing that I have ever seen in this lodge. They come together, they all come in and ate, had the chicken dinner, and that was cool. And by the time we got all of their food out within, because they called me that morning, they were like, it's kind of going to be more like we need to eat at 11. And I was like, oh, okay. So they got here at 11, and by 11:15 we had all of their food, their salads, their drinks, everything was out. They were starting to eat. And I told them, I said, do y'all want to listen to some music while y'all are eating? They were like, no. I was like, oh, okay. They were like, we want to do some karaoke. I said, cool. Heck yeah! So we turned the lights off and turned.
I saw somebody posted. I don't know if y'all posted a video or somebody posted a video. Maybe one of the girls posted a video of the coaches.
We hadn't posted anything, but I've got videos.
Well, somebody put it on Facebook of a couple of the coaches, of Ashton and Jessica doing karaoke and stuff, and it was hilarious. I mean, they were having a blast.
The last song, man, that they done, that it kind of brought them all together, and the coaches were standing over there and they were videoing it. I took the phone away from them and pushed them over there and had the coaches, players, everybody in there. And
they've really all
that's a team building.
Yeah, and they've all really come together this year.
Yeah.
And it showed on the court too. They had a really good season this year. They fell a little short against Roswell, but they made second round of the playoffs. Had a good season, and I think that Ashton did a good job, and I think they built something up that's going to just grow each year to get the volleyball team back up. Because Ashton was Jessica's on the state championship team back in 2000, and I think that she is extremely, extremely competitive, and I think that they're going to be looking to do that in volleyball and basketball. Should be doing basketball.
Yeah, they've already hit me up. They said we're definitely coming back for basketball.
We're talking about class reunions. I had one back years before you had it when it was still Red Line Inn. We did my 5-year class reunion. That's been years ago. We had here, a long time ago, and but it's a great place to come over. I mean, it's a nice location right here on the creek. I mean, it's a good little place. It's a good little size. So. People come over and everything. So you got anything coming up the next week or so when you let people know about it?
So we got karaoke tonight, obviously, and then let's see, next Sunday for sure we're having Fine Line back out here from 4 to 8. So it'll be a Sunday, kind of come and hang out type thing. Not a real late night deal, but it'll be something kind of cool to do on a Sunday afternoon. Come hang out, eat, listen.
On the TVs, you have NFL on Sunday.
Oh yeah, we're getting ready to crank up game day today, so that goes all weekend.
Good.
Okay. Cool deal. We appreciate it.
Well, thank y'all. Appreciate you.
We'll be back here next Saturday morning, and probably closing out for the season, I guess. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. You never know.
But I guess we're about done for the week. If you want to close us out and everything,
I got you.
We definitely appreciate you hosting us here and providing all the equipment and getting us going and everything.
Yeah, we do. We appreciate it very much.
So
And
I guess we will see you next time.
God bless the Tiger Nation.